watching Thrifty Kaniffy. Hello everyone and welcome to Thrifty Kaniffy. Well, today we're going to be taking a look at a marbles knife. Comes in this standard orange box. On the left you have the little clock logo that Marbles uses. It says for every hour in the open. On the right, if it's marbles, it's quality, and they're moose. And then again in the middle with a moose with the larger font logo at the top. On the side, clock again, the marbles. Some history about marbles written on the side in very small print. And then over here on the other side, again the slogan and logos. QR code and cancer warning. Got the country of origin is China. This is model number MR295, and we are looking at the Sleeveboard Whittler. It is a 3.5-inch closed design, so very much in that Goldilocks zone for me that I like to carry, between 3.5 and 3 3/4. And it has a stag bone handle. It's a, of course, bone handle made to look like stag, and you can see the jigging on there. It's very much like stag would have. Got nickel silver bolsters on either end here with a single thread nickel silver shield. I call that the flying squirrel. Some call it the bomb shield. We got the marbles written in there, stamped in there, so their logo is inside the shield. You've got nickel silver pins holding that together, 3 of them. And good transitions on either side to those bolsters. The color kind of bleeds into the middle here. It gets a little darker as you move towards the center. And then you had these pins really well laid down, and the shield is well inlaid. So nothing proud along the length of the handle. And you can see the back side. It's well color matched. Very much the same with the fade out on to the edges. Maybe just a touch darker here, but overall pretty similar in color. Yeah, this seems to be a little bit lighter on the edges on this one than this side, but pretty similar. Again, no proud pins, and transitions seem nice and smooth. Top and bottom of the handles, no 90-degree edginess or anything like that. Feels very comfortable. Going to be able to grip that without any discomfort. On the bottom we've got brass liners, stainless springs, and we can see one of the unique features of a Whittler knife, where you've got the little spacer between the 2 springs that becomes like a wedge shape, and you can see how it starts thicker here and gets narrower on this end. That is by design, and you have the 2 springs meeting up on the pivot end of the main blade, which makes for a really nice pull on that main blade. But a little bit of a gap here on this left side. You can see there's a little bit of space there that maybe shouldn't be, but this gap here is intentional, and that is absolutely normal. No issues with that, but otherwise looks like everything is pretty well done. There's no gaps between the handle and the liners, and there's no drop off really at the beginning of those bolsters. That feels good. No stepping really. So overall, I'd say the fit and finish is pretty good. Just that one little gap there, which I can live with. Again, Nana, this is a $12.99 knife. You can get this on Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and that's really the only place I've seen this for sale. Chicago Knife Works does not sell this knife. So again, model number MR295, $12.99. So pretty good deal. And like I say, about the size that I really enjoy, in that zone between 3.5 and 3 3/4 inches to carry. Typically put this in a slip. Let's put it this way, makes it better. There we go. And you can see this is a medium Rough Rider slip. These are very affordable, only about $4. And yeah, they work really well. So let's take a look at the main blade. We've got a spear point blade, and the pull on that is just awesome because of those 2 springs it's riding on. It really gives it a nice stiff pull. And I'd say it's about an 8 to 8.5. Lock up is really good. You can hear the authority on that. Now there's no half stop on this main blade, but there are on the 2 secondary blades, so that's interesting. You've got the marbles blade etch there that just says marbles on it, quality knives. And you can see there's a little bit of blade rub here at the right side right about where that S is. And then at the front, this was just kind of looks like maybe a factory flaw. I didn't put that there. Now, these back scratches is ones that I put there when I opened up the secondary blades, and you'll kind of see why that's the case here in a moment. But the centering on the blade and the spacing is fine. I don't have any blade rub per se when you're opening it straight upward. And again, the shape of this blade is really nice. It's one that I really like. Very utilitarian, can be used for so many different things. Maybe we would have liked to seen the point of it be a little more sharp. That would have helped with piercing, going through different materials there just to kind of poke into. It's not unsharp, I would say, but it could be sharper. And here's a look at the blade edges here. Pretty even across the length. I'd say they did pretty decent job, especially for like a $13 knife. Pretty consistent on both sides. So they've done a nice job there. Now this side will have the model number and China below it. Again, this is MR295. And there you can see the country of origin there, China. Kind of a fingerprint magnet, you know, with this mirror finish polish. And there's a look at the swedging on it. Kind of give you an idea of the profile of the blade. And of course you get that match strike pull on it. There's a good look at that. You know, the swedging there. And then on the tank stamp, pretty nice. I've always liked this particular tank stamp. It's a really nice looking design there. Marbles tank stamp. Looks really good stamped in there. So let's take a measure of the blade. So full to the tang, we've got 2.5 inches, and then a cutting edge of about 2.25, let's call it. A little bit of a choil there for sharpening, so that's useful. But overall, really like that blade shape and the pull design on it. You can see how thick the tang is, and that's necessary for, you know, rotating across down to the one blade at the one end. So you can see how those springs work. So you got to have a thicker tang to manage that, for everything to line up. But yeah, it makes for a pretty durable tang there. And the profile of that. So that's interesting, yeah, along with the Whittler design. That's just one of those things that you'll have. Alright, so let's look at the secondary blades. Now they're the exact same blade. They're just the same exact pin blade. Don't have any tang stamps or anything written on the tangs, but we'll open them both up just so you have an opportunity to kind of see what they both look like. You can see those are pretty much identical, and both have the match strike pull. So we'll just close the one to measure. We've got a almost 1 3/4 inch blade to the tang, and then a cutting edge of about 1 3/8. Now these have the half stops, so those will stop, you know, in that half stop position, and then they open up with a nice snap, very authoritative snap there. And the blade shape I really enjoy, just the comfortability of that with that blade open. Probably not going to be using that real hard use. I'm not having any kind of a problem with, you know, with the light grip, but if I was to really squeeze down on that, that does start to hurt your forefinger. And it's probably just meant for a lighter use. But the main blade you can use quite heavily because you don't have anything kind of interfering. I mean, you can see how low the profile is of those two secondary blades when you have the main blade open. So that makes for a really comfortable grip. So yeah, I would definitely hard use the main blade. Maybe not so much the two smaller blades, but again, about a 7 pull on each of these. They're pretty consistent for both blades, and they lock up just the same. So yeah, probably about a 7, I'd say. And I still feel like it's very comfortable to use light grip, or, you know, in a squeeze type grip, pinch grip. And of course the pin blade is very useful blade, very utilitarian, much like the spear point blade. But overall, really like the design of it. It's a good size, good shape. You know, those tangs are kind of nicely tucked down in there on both ends, much like a canoe would be. but just adds that third blade, you know, like a pin blade and a spear point blade are not that uncommon for a canoe. But then if you want a third blade, well, then the Whittler on this particular model will give you another additional blade, so you won't have to sharpen quite as frequently. But overall, really like the shape of it, the styling, the fit and finishes are nice. Just that one small gap, really about the only thing that I could complain about. Maybe the blade rub, but that's really more from pushing. Like I say, you got the push rub a little bit, trying to get a hold of that nail nick. And you might push just a touch on it and scratch the main blade. But if you're using it as a user, that's not really going to be a big deal. And for the $13 knife, I don't know, a whole lot of people are going to be clamoring to buy this as a collector's piece. So it makes a lot of sense just to use it. But overall, really happy with it. And I think you will be too. It's a pattern that I don't see very often, and one that I mean, you would probably have to spend a lot more money to get an older one like this in the sleeveboard design, unless you were to happen and maybe find one at an antique shop or something like that where you found an older model. But as far as like a new or current model, you probably have to spend a pretty good penny to get the pattern similar to this. So I think for $13, that's a heck of a deal. And, you know, they do offer other Whittlers, but I don't see a lot of sleeveboards. So this is probably I gotta say, this is probably the only sleeveboard Whittler that I own. So, yeah, pretty unique, and I'm glad I was able to find one. And again, the only place selling them right now is Smoky Mountain Knife Works. But that's going to do it for my review, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell to be made aware of videos when they drop. We will see you next time. Take care.